Right now at 10, an amber alert for a Beaver Dam teenager is still active. The new details revealed from the criminal complaint. And rebuilding a community. We'll hear how green infrastructure is protecting Mazomanie residents. Plus, protests at Wisconsin's Capitol building, why demonstrators say real change needs to happen soon. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Carlson. Eric Franke is off tonight. We're headed straight to weather and highlighting alert day conditions as they appear in southern Wisconsin. Alex has more on some very icy roads out there. Alex, it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, Sarah, it is very dangerous. I've never been out here on the patio before where I'm not going to move. I shuffled my way from the door to right here because I want to be outside to report to you that we do have heavy freezing drizzle that is falling outside right now in the Madison area and across much of southern Wisconsin, being reported in southwest Wisconsin and in areas to the east. We're highlighting a brief period of time here again for these alert day conditions. We can go to our graphics till at least approximately 3 o'clock Thursday morning. This is for that freezing drizzle, freezing fog, and icy roads that are being rapidly reported across southern Wisconsin. If you have to do any travel for whatever reason, maybe you work late, you need to take it very, very easy if you have to travel, if at all, tonight. So very, very icy conditions out here because of this freezing drizzle. Right now, as we look at Radar 3000 and our storm tracker tool here, you see that little bit of white from Madison over to Cottage Grove going along the highway. That's actually a decent amount of freezing drizzle that's falling right now in Dane County. That continues for areas off to the east towards Janesville, over towards Elkhorn, over towards Watertown and Fort Atkinson, but also getting reports from social media friends in Dodgeville. They're also having rain, but it is not raining. Temperatures are below freezing. This is that freezing drizzle that continues through at least 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Then it pushes off to the east quickly. So I want to stress that it's a couple hours here of impactful weather with this heavy freezing drizzle that we have across southern Wisconsin. It's for this the National Weather Service has issued, and they don't do this very often, just a brief period of winter weather advisory conditions for southwest Wisconsin and for Madison and areas to the east until 3 a.m. until these conditions can improve. Coming up in Maine weather, we will recap our alert day scenario. Here we will use Future Track to track the end of the precipitation going up to the rush hour. And we also want to talk about another impactful weather event that's on tap for Saturday. That's coming up in a few minutes, and I'm going to slowly work my way back into the studio.
All right, be careful out there. Thank you, Alex. The Amber Alert for Sophia Franklin, the 16-year-old Beaver Dam girl, is still active. News 3 was able to obtain the criminal complaint for the incident involving Gary Day. Day has been charged with 2 counts of child abduction and 2 counts of child enticement. The complaint says that Day and Franklin first met online in April of 2024. 16-year-old Franklin is also believed to be pregnant with the 40-year-old man's child. Beaver Dam Police Chief says the department is following up on several different tips.
Following up on those tips, so they vary the tips, so we just say continue with the different tips and continue to give us the information. We appreciate that, and we're following up on all tips. So we do know that he's switching plates right now and putting different plates on the vehicle, which makes it a little bit more difficult for law enforcement, but we're still working through the logistics of that.
And this is how you can help. Day and Franklin are believing to be traveled in a 2014 Buick LaCrosse and switching out those plates. The last known license plates on the car were from Pennsylvania and read KGW 5186. The other is an Arkansas plate that reads BBR 20L. If you have any information about where Day and Franklin could be, please call the Beaver Dam Police Department. A Wisconsin couple is suing Walgreens and a pharmacy benefit management company, saying that their son died because he couldn't afford his asthma medication. The lawsuit, filed by Shannon and William Schmitnick, says that their son Cole stopped at the Walgreens pharmacy in Appleton to refill a prescription. But there he learned the cost of his inhaler jumped from $66 to $539 out of pocket. The lawsuit alleges the pharmacy benefits management company violated Wisconsin law by raising the cost and are directly responsible for his death. And now to an update on a dog breeder story that we've been following closely. A special prosecutor will now be looking into the Beagle breeder Ridgeland Farms. For years, the breeder has been accused of abusing animals. In this past October, a judge heard testimony against the breeder. You can see this awful video. Now they've ordered a special prosecutor to take on the case. It will be the La Crosse County DA that will serve in the role. Attorneys representing Dane for Dogs say they are encouraged by the appointment now. They released a statement that reads in part, quote, "We trust that DA Grenke will follow the evidence, which clearly shows these dogs have endured unnecessary pain and suffering in violation of Wisconsin law." And News 3 has been reaching out to Ridgeland for months about these accusations. And today, while gathering video, interestingly, from the road, our cameras captured drug enforcement agents on site. The agency says while they cannot say what that visit was for, the DEA does occasionally do routine visits to physicians or even veterinarians. These can be for scheduled audits as well as to follow up on tips through their diversion control program. This program is aimed at preventing, detecting, and investigating the diversion of controlled pharmaceuticals and listed chemicals from legitimate sources. Now, ISMIS is also reporting that the State Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection did its own investigation today on behalf of the examining board. Ridgeland has not responded to our many comments for a request. So how do you begin to rebuild? That was the question that many people in Mazomanie were asking 7 years ago after being devastated by a once-in-a-500-year flood. Today, with some of that rebuilding done, officials are highlighting how the community is looking to keep that rebuilding sustainable.
It was an early morning call from our Director of Public Works, Mark Geisler, and he's also our fire chief, saying, "You better get down here, there's a lot of water coming."
That was 7 years ago, but now?
And there's still a lot of trauma left in the village on a lesser scale, but anytime people talk about flooding, their ears perk up.
Mazomanie is a community rebuilding after floods devastated the village in 2018.
So there was a desire to deal with the flooding, but to do it in a way that also respected the natural value.
That includes quote-unquote green infrastructure.
Using plants and the soils to deal with that water instead of just, concrete.
If there's another 500-year flood, the landscape can just handle that volume of water better. Local officials did what's called re-meandering the Black Earth Creek, creating a bigger floodplain, which means less water in people's homes.
In 2018, with the flooding that we saw in Madison, we realized that we can take measures upstream to try to prevent that type of flooding from happening again.
And already it's starting to make a difference.
We just finished that project a few years ago, and we've noticed an increase in how well the water flows through the village and not backing up and pooling like it had been in the past.
Reporting in Mazomanie, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Will. Local officials were touring Mazomanie as part of a flood insurance awareness week. For residents wondering if they're in a flood zone, you can go to the FEMA website and enter their address. That is easy to find in this story online at channel3000.com. Well, protesters took to the Capitol today in Madison over the president's plan to gut federal agencies and workforces. Groups in support of the LGBTQ and immigrant communities, among others, stood with those against President Donald Trump. They're also concerned about the role that Elon Musk has had in the government with the newly created Department of Government Efficiency. Members of We the People say they're looking for change soon.
I hope people continue to mobilize and organize, get their hands in the democracy process, elect leaders that'll actually do something and promote change within our government. The people are the ones that are backing all of this. We back our politicians, we back our representatives. We need people to start making those votes happen.
The protest attracted people of all ages. Speakers say they hope that people continue to mobilize and speak out. Now, when we come back at 10, Alex tells us about deteriorating weather conditions and dangerous out there. Plus, President Donald Trump announces more changes to the federal government. This as hundreds more protest across the country. That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Welcome back, everyone. The second Trump administration is sparing no time to assert control and forcing change across parts of the federal government. Erica Brown has the latest from the White House.
Across the U.S., protesters gathered to speak out against some of the Trump administration's actions in the first weeks of the president's second term.
Immigrants are welcome here. Hey, hey, no fear.
Some focused on President Trump's plans to deport millions of undocumented immigrants, while others called out billionaire Elon Musk's efforts to help Trump shrink the federal government.
Elon Musk has got to go!
Members of Musk's Doge team, who are not government employees, have access to a treasury system that handles trillions of dollars in grants, Social Security, and other payments to millions of Americans. In another move, the administration directed all overseas projects at USAID, the agency that provides foreign humanitarian aid, to be halted, and its more than 10,000 employees were told they were being placed on leave.
USAID projects play an integral part of America's foreign policy objectives, and we do all of this with less than 1% of the national budget.
At the White House today, President Trump didn't elaborate on his proposal for the U.S. to take control of and rebuild Gaza while having some 2 million Palestinians leave the territory.
Everybody loves it.
In his remarks Tuesday, Trump said Gaza could be a Riviera of the Middle East, suggesting Palestinians could be resettled in neighboring countries.
The president has made it clear that they need to be temporarily relocated out of Gaza for the rebuilding of this effort. Again, it's a demolition site right now. It's not a livable place for any human being.
The White House press secretary appeared to walk back the proposal and said the president had not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
In other news, customers are responding to the increased price of eggs at one of the nation's best-known restaurant chains. Waffle House will charge its customers an extra 50 cents per egg, which we've mentioned before. The latest government data shows that the average price for a dozen grade A eggs hit $4.15 in December. That's up from $3.65 a month earlier. Waffle House says it will adjust or drop the surcharge depending on the egg market. But for some customers, it's the final straw.
I don't order eggs anymore. Like today, I'm getting something totally different than I would normally get, but I've just kind of stayed away from that type of diet.
The Agriculture Department says bird flu has led to the loss of more than 145 million chickens, turkeys, and other birds since the beginning of this outbreak. Some great apes have the ability to communicate information to humans, especially when they're in the mood for a snack. Wouldn't it be? Researchers at Johns Hopkins University placed treats under one of 3 cups in front of a bonobo and a human. When the person didn't know where the treat was, the bonobo would point to the correct cup. A co-author of this says it shows non-human primates understand when someone else is ignorant. Well, scientists are turning to space to track tiny creatures in the Antarctic. Only a few centimeters long, krill, you can see it right there, are crucial to our planet's ecosystem. They absorb as much carbon dioxide each year as hundreds of millions of cars emit, locking it away in the deep ocean for decades. In a bid to protect the krill, scientists have launched an ambitious space mission to track them from orbit.
But the great thing about satellite data is that you can get coverage of the entire Southern Ocean and Antarctica. So it's quite powerful for understanding better their spatial distributions in Antarctica.
Wow. Well, this mission would help safeguard the species from overfishing and rising sea temperatures as well. And the climate sure is changing here in the Madison region. We have ice out on the roads. Some slippery stuff out there, Alex.
Yeah, you were coming back here into the station, said it was an ice rink on your way here. There was a fender bender. We're getting reports of accidents in Madison. Icy roads out there right now, all because of freezing drizzle. So a brief period of alert day conditions that I want to stress for southern Wisconsin through at least 3 a.m. on Thursday. Now, we know this isn't always the most heavily traveled part of the day, but anybody who is traveling outside right now, you need to exercise caution. Give yourself enough room between you and your neighbors out there on the roads as well with these accidents that are being reported. Now, radar 3000 doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on out there. It's hard for radar to pick up freezing drizzle. We're likely seeing some freezing drizzle, maybe a couple of snowflakes just east of Madison going along 94 here near the Cottage Grove area and over portions of our southeastern viewing area, Janesville, Elkhorn along Highway 43. Fort Atkinson, you're also probably seeing some pretty heavy freezing drizzle, but I don't want to leave southwest Wisconsin out either. We've had some reports in Dodgeville as well of rain, and it's not raining. This is actually freezing because our temperatures are in the 20s outside. Future Track doing a great job picking that up here. This is the freezing rain in the Madison area, Lone Rock, Watertown, Janesville, right here at 10 o'clock, right at this hour. So the radar and Future Track are spot on verifying with each other. The freezing rain and the freezing drizzle moves off towards the north and towards the east as we head towards 12 o'clock. Maybe a little bit of light snow up towards Camp Douglas, over towards Adams counties as well. But it's the freezing rain that's causing the most adverse travel conditions. But good news, here it is, 3 o'clock in the morning. That moves well off to the east, and that will allow conditions to improve as we go through the morning hours. No precipitation out there expected here by FutureTrack by the time we get to 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, our FutureTrack ice model has moved that ice right back up to the north here to the Wisconsin River Valley, over to Madison, to Watertown, so that is spot on. Again, it's that light glaze of ice that's causing these issues outside with travel. Snow, again, I mentioned this in our earlier newscasts at 5 and at 6. Maybe a ½ inch to an inch north of Madison, where the freezing drizzle threat is lower to the north. We have that higher freezing drizzle threat right now. It's that wintry mix overnight, even though the ice accumulation may be 0.05 of an inch. That is causing problems out there, so take it easy on the roads. All because everything that's falling from the sky to the ground is freezing on contact with temperatures in the middle to upper 20s out there right now. Good news, I try to impart some optimism. We'll get back into the 30s for a good portion of southern Wisconsin, but it will be met with some windy conditions as well, with the wind advisory for Green Lake County. But it'll be windy everywhere tomorrow. Wind gusts 30 to 35 miles per hour, maybe a 40 mile per hour wind gust, and then colder air spills in later Thursday on those northwest winds going into Friday. It'll be a colder day Friday. Then we eye up Saturday for more precipitation. Cold after that weather system. This is what that weather system is looking like. Widespread snow across southern and central Wisconsin. Right now, looks like the heavier amounts are going to be towards central Wisconsin, but keep tuned here to the First Warn Weather Team. Will be first to let you know if the movement of that heavier snow is going to move further to the north, stay as is, or move to the south. Now, I also want to call out, we had a wonderful day today. This is some more nice news to report. Thanks so much, Seabird Elementary School in Sun Prairie, for having me out. I talked about what I do as a TV weather person and how I try to keep people safe the best I can. Tonight's a great example of that from severe weather. Students were very excited to see the famous Pepper tornado experiment, and they got a crash course in matching the frames that I wear to the weather forecast that I give. And I want to give a shout out to Amy Rice and Christy Baker for the invite, and to all the second graders at the C.H. Bird Elementary School. Thanks for having me come out. I had a fantastic time, and I'm looking forward to doing other tours across southern Wisconsin to other schools. It's a very pleasurable experience. Thank you again for having me.
And coming up in sports, Platteville protected home court tonight, how the Pioneers took down the Eagles in a top 10 tilt on the hardwood. That's next on News 3 Now. This weekend is a big one for the Wisconsin women's hockey team. It's round 2 of the border battle with Minnesota. Mark Johnson's squad is celebrating 6 seniors, and there's a WCHA title within reach. The Badgers just need 1 point to clinch a share of the regular season crown and 2 points to win it outright, meaning 1 win and they're regular season champs for the first time since the 2020-2021 season.
This one's hard. I mean, because, you have to play 28 games. You have to be consistent. You know who you're going to play against, whether it's on the road or at home. At the end of the day, if you're the team that's at the top of that list and you've won a league championship, you've done something special.
It's probably the hardest title to win because you have to be consistent throughout the whole season, and so it's really special. It's going to be a first time for a lot of people if we can do it, and hopefully we can this weekend.
And just a reminder to check out this week's Wisconsin Huddle with Ben Dexheimer on Friday at 6:30 right here on News 3 Now. Death taxes and Wisconsin beating Indiana at the Kohl Center. The Badgers dominated the Hoosiers last night to move their home win streak in this series to 21 straight. Greg Gard saw a balanced attack from his team with 6 guys scoring at least 8 points, and it was a performance that was exactly like the makeup of this group. Well connected.
You can never substitute for playing hard and playing smart and playing together. And this group is a very connected group. I mean, they enjoy hanging around with each other. They're a very loose group. They're very coachable, and they want to win. And their mindsets are all on that. And when we do get all firing on all cylinders, we're a handful for teams.
To Bo Ryan Court we go. Platteville hosting La Crosse in a showdown between not only the top two teams in the WIAC, but two of the best in Division III. And Max Love put on a show. First, he dials one up from the corner to give the Pioneers an early lead. Then later in the first half, it's Love again. This time he's taking it hard to the rack for two more. Love finished with a team-high 20 points, and then it was Logan Pearson's turn. The stop and pop for 2 of his 11. He also grabbed 9 boards. Platteville goes on to win it 83-73. On the eve of the NBA trade deadline, the Bucks traded Chris Middleton to the Wizards for Kyle Kuzma and Patrick Baldwin Jr. Middleton, remember, spent the last 11 seasons in Milwaukee, helping lead the Bucks to an NBA championship in 2021. And the Wisconsin women fell to USC tonight in the first ever matchup between the two programs. Despite 19 points and 7 rebounds from Sarah Williams, the Badgers have lost 10 of their last 11 games. We'll be right back.
So when the weather is pleasant, and especially when it's not like tonight, these are the men and women who keep us informed. Today is about celebrating them. It happens to be National Weather Person's Day. Officially, February 5th marks the birthday of John Jeffries, born on this day in 1744. He was considered one of America's first weather observers, and he kept detailed records for decades. The day also serves to honor all of those who work in meteorology, like Alex and weather forecast, keeping us safe. That is the key, and tonight is a big one. My goodness, it is slick out there. What do we need to know?
Well, it is very, very, very icy out there right now. I've not seen our parking lot this icy before ever, and out on the patio, and we're getting numerous reports of accidents in the Madison area and outside of the Madison area right now. So if you have any driving yet this evening that you need to do, maybe you work late, you really want to take this seriously. Give yourself some extra time. Give yourself some extra distance between you and your fellow neighbors that are out on the road if you have to travel at all. Let's go to our graphics here. Alert day conditions for a couple of hours here. Conditions should start to improve at about 3 o'clock Thursday morning. I know that's not the greatest travel time, but again, we do have people that are out and about right now, and it is very icy, if not an ice rink reported in many areas. This is another glimpse here of our first one weather cam in Dodgeville. You see the drops on that? That's not wet drops of rain. That is actually frozen drops. That's that freezing drizzle that's depositing across much of southern Wisconsin. Future Track gets the freezing drizzle, the purple and the blues, a little bit of light snow out of here by the time we get to 3 o'clock in the morning with improving conditions. That's the good news.
Exactly.
As we go into the morning hours.
All right. Thank you for what you do, and thank you everybody for watching News 3 Now at 10. Be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow.